Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Simkin, and I'm here with my co-host, Damon Galdo, and this is The Political Badass, and we are ready to talk about everything from capitalism to Marxism to communism. Everything that we're seeing here today that is totally out of the ordinary, makes no sense. We're going to make sense for you today. We're going to start out with this video. Take a look.
Now we take Georgia, then we change America.
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here with the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, House and Senate, our distinguished chair, Karen Bass, Senator Booker, Senator Harris, the distinguished leader, Democratic leader of the Senate, Mr. Schumer. We are gathered here in Emancipation Hall, aptly named for those who built the Capitol. Sadly, we are here to honor George Floyd.
Speaker, and thank you for this profound and important moment before we go forward with our strong and comprehensive legislation. Speaker, every American should try to stand in silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds to acknowledge the pain of George Floyd and the pain of racism.
We have our moment of silence, which, as you indicated, is a very long time, especially with someone's knee on your neck. Well, during the moment of silence, I'm sure that those who have been hurt by all of this won't mind if you shout out names then. For those who wish to, we will now kneel for our moment of silence.
We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
We all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas. These children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Merry Christmas, everyone. Christmas is a time of hope and joy, and to celebrate our favorite family traditions.
I also think that it might our trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
Am I a Marxist? Let's get into it. Hey everybody, my name is Patriots. I am the co-founder of Black Lives Matter. I'm also the executive director of the Black Lives Matter Global Network. Am I a Marxist? I'm a lot of things. I do believe in Marxism. It's a philosophy that I learned really early on in my organizing career.
Fox News alert happening right now. The LAPD is moving in on the UCLA campus after anti-Israel protests turned violent overnight. Brawls between pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel protesters erupting throughout the campus.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Political Badass, the podcast that fiercely tackles the pressing issues shaping America today. Hosted by Eric Simkin and Damon Galdo, we're here to dissect how the media, social media, and our education systems are influence our nation's future? Are these institutions promoting values that undermine the Judeo-Christian foundations and capitalist principles that build America? We'll explore the alarming trends and ideologies at play and delve into the written communist Marxist goals laid out on January 10th, 1963, to understand how its predictions are manifesting in today's society. Join us as we uncover the truths and challenge the narratives reshaping our country. America, we have a problem. Eric and I are here not to shape truth, but to tell the truth by presenting the facts without distortion. Our goal is to inform, not to indoctrinate. I hope we can open people's eyes, and we'll never tell you just to take our word for it. All the information will be on ericsimkin.com, and you're welcome to look it up yourself. So now I'm going to turn it over to my friend, the heavyweight champion of information, the original political badass, Eric Simkin.
Good morning, everybody. This is Eric Simkin here, and this is the Political Badass Podcast. We are here to make sense of things that make no sense whatsoever. I mean, look around at what's going on. You just saw the video. Things are flip-flopping. Things are changing to a radical nature. And where did it all start? Where did it all start? I don't know. It started with the founding of America and the Judeo-Christian values that formed the foundational documents in our nation and how we all are adapted to living here. Okay, our borders right now are wide open. People are coming to this country from all walks of life, and many of those do not even like the idea of capitalism. And what is capitalism? Where are our rights derived from? Okay, when I think about that, where do we derive the rights that we have? And those rights were given to us in America by God Himself. Okay, and the difference between capitalism and really what I would call Americanism. Okay, because Americanism is a different form of Western culture than it is in Europe. Europe is a parliamentary system with multiple, various different types of castes of political parties. We are a two-party system in America: Republican, which is a constitutional republic, a foundationary document, which is the longest running constitution in human history in America. Okay, and then you have parliaments that have various factions of citizens that are represented unequally, usually, and the majority rules. Okay, that is not how it works in America. These people are coming to our country and trying to effectuate change and make us live by the rules that they've agreed to in their country. Guess what? Okay, November 5th, 2024, those borders are going to be closed, and we are going to start the most massive deportation plan that's ever been effectuated in United States history, and it has to happen. Things are getting dangerous. That video is just a sampling of what's to come. Okay, you got Klaus Schwab out there with the WEF. Okay, couldn't be more communist and socialist than that. The WEF, the United Nations, the WHO, World Health Organization, United Nations Education and Science Foundation, UNESCO. Okay, UNRWA, that was basically hiring Palestinians and paying them to become terrorists in Israel on October 7th and prior, and they still are doing it. And P.S., we were backed out of UNESCO and UNRWA under President Trump in 2017. Joe Biden signed us back up in July 23rd. That's why things have gotten so much more radical and so quickly. So what I want to do is just take a step back to 1963. Okay, things were going pretty well in America, but there became a big concern that communists from Russia have infiltrated our government. I'm here to tell you they have been, they continue to, and they're not just coming from Russia. They're coming from Venezuela. They're coming from China, okay, that created the China virus to unleash on the world, costing $14 or so trillion from the world economy. They want to do it on purpose. They want to destroy everything capitalist, everything that has to do with merit, everything that has to do with science. Okay, they're destroying it from the ground up and the top down simultaneously. And that's why middle America, the working class, is feeling so much pressure. Go to the grocery store, fill up your gas tank. These things are good. Let me tell you something, America. We have an election coming up. It's not going to be the most consequential election of our lifetimes. Okay, if Donald Trump doesn't win that presidency, it will be the last election of our lifetimes. We have to stay focused and stay clear. It's good to know the past information and how we got here. But the next step is, what are you going to do about it? I know what I'm doing. I'm taking my Sundays and pretty much all week immersed in information. I was following a great leader named Stephen K. Bannon, who's in prison right now, okay, for failing to adhere to a subpoena from a sham January 6th committee, okay, that was found to be formed illegally, but yet he sits in prison as a political prisoner, just like the prisoners of January 6th, many of them that did really nothing wrong other than go into the people's house and stay within the velvet ropes and take some pictures, and grandmothers praying and things of that nature are sitting in prison 4 years later. Okay, that's communism. That is not Americanism. That is not capitalism. That is not the land that we're formed on. Damon, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, that was a great monologue there to get started. And I'll tell you what the difference is between the United States Constitution and communism / Marxism. I mean, if you think about it, our Constitution promotes a democratic republic, and that's what we are. It's separation of powers, federalism. When you go to Marxism and communism, it's classless, stateless society, centralized control, revolutionary change. When you go back to the Constitution, capitalism, private property rights, free enterprise. Go back to communist Marxism, collective ownership, planned economy, economic equality. You go back to the Constitution, Bill of Rights, individual liberties, rule of law, which we're missing a lot of that lately.
We sure are.
And then go back to communism, Marxism, collective rights, repression and dissent, state control. That's where we're heading.
The way I see it, Damon, what we're doing is we're taking away our God-given rights, and we're only allowed to accept and live by state-given rights. And when you give power and control to the state over your own agency, which are your God-given rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in America, this is where the problems start. So let's take just one quick look at what we mean by globalism and communism and socialism. It's going to be summed up very well by a man named Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab's parents basically were Nazis, okay? And this guy is now in charge of the World Economic Forum, pushing a globalist agenda. And if we revert back to the 1963 document, this is when Americans knew there was a communist infiltration. Congress convened a committee, a legal committee, to investigate the effects of communism and how to start it. And one of the main tenets of that was globalism. It was actually number 11 on a list of 45 goals of the Communist Party in that era. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charters is rewritten, demand that it set up a one world government with its own independent armed forces. That's right, armed forces. 9mm shells are the preferred casings that the United Nations uses in all their weapons, by the way. So if you're accumulating any brass, 9mm is probably not a bad way to go. They want us to be lived by a global government. Take a look when Klaus Schwab says you'll own nothing and be happy. I'll explain why after this short video.
People assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen. I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset, which means to exercise here true global citizenship. Why not to tie government aid to the green economy which we have to create? Why we are here when we talk about the great reset, to talk also about innovation. How can we do things differently from what we used to do? And if we speak about differently, it means also how can we do it to make sure that
you will own nothing, and you will be happy.
You will own the nothing and you will be happy. That sounds like the darkest days of history.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if anyone's going to get this. $1 million.
$1 million. That's Goldfinger. But here's the deal. This is the Goldfinger. This is the agenda. Just think of how many things that we're witnessing today tie into that. When was that done? That was done during the pandemic, people, during the China virus, when it was unleashed on us, when they locked us all down with crazy mandates, before they started injecting us with mRNA vaccines that truthfully they had no business doing. It should have been a voluntary thing if you wanted to vaccinate yourself. As soon as the government comes and say, you have to do this, we know better than you, we know the science, we are the science, we are the solution. Guess what, people? That's when America ends and the new Great Reset began. We have to stop it. Okay, you've got to take a look at some of this information. Go ahead and Google the 1963 congressional hearings about communism. I mean, some of these items are just insane. You know, use technical decisions for the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. Civil rights, make it all about civil rights. BLM, we just saw, they're trained Marxists. Okay, they're looking to defeat capitalism, to defeat you and I, to make us have less under the guise of what's called equity, which was a term created to replace equality. Equality meaning that you have the same equal opportunity in America to succeed, to be who and what you want to be. Okay, not to change your sexuality and your sexual gender and your sex, okay? Because there's only two sexes, okay? There's male and female, and both that's in both the plant and animal kingdom. Okay, there's no such thing as gender. Gender is a socially constructed idea that's a way to identify yourself based on your sex. If that differs, okay, from what your biologically assigned sex is, here's a news flash for you. It's part of your personality. So as I always say, Damon, and you know how I say it, there's two sexes, there's no such thing as gender, and there are unlimited personalities. And I will add, you got to love all those personalities. There's no reason to hate on anybody for any reason when it comes down to how they identify. That's their business and that is their issue, however they want to identify. I accept them for them. It doesn't mean I have to adopt them for me and my family. And when someone forces somebody to do something like that, that is under a socialist and communist regime and not in America. What do you say?
Well, I say, again, the difference between our United States and our Constitution and communism, Marxism, pluralism. It supports a diverse society where multiple viewpoints and interests coexist and are represented. But then you go to class struggle under communism, Marxism, that the views society through a lens like a class conflict to where everyone has to be classless. And that's the problem, and the contrast between our Constitution and communism and Marxism is unbelievable. And if nobody sees it coming, we're here to open everybody's eyes. This is unbelievable what's going on. And we're getting indoctrinated in our schools. We'll go into that. We'll go into DEI a little bit later too, and how they're masking it with DEI. They're not calling it communism, not calling it Marxism, but they're masking it with DEI. So we're going to get with that pretty soon. So well, I wanted to just say, name my computer's messing up. Sorry about that. So, but then you look at social mobility, and that's what the United States believes in, our Constitution. You look at communism, Marxism, you're looking at quality of outcome. So quality of outcome, again, is DEI. It's not equality for opportunity. It's equality of your outcome. And we played that video last week on our podcast as well. It was Kamala Harris's video, and it was stupid, to be honest with me. It was stupid.
I mean, it's as stupid as it sounds. That's what they're doing, and that's the problem. They think that we are stupid. Are you stupid, America? I don't think so. I know plenty of smart people. Guess what? I never went and took a college credit in my life. Maybe that's why I understand the stuff a little better. Who knows? I wasn't indoctrinated into a system. When I saw things weren't making sense to me in high school and they wanted me to have a hall pass and they'd yell at me, "Hey, Simpkin, where's your hall pass?" I would give him the finger and say, "Where's your pass? I don't need a pass. I have to use the restroom." I mean, I was a fighter from day one. Okay. And that's coming from two public educator parents. It wasn't easy. When I told my dad I wasn't going to college, Damon, you know what he said? "Put on your best clothes." I was like, "Why, Dad? What are you going to do? Bury me in them?" He said, "No, you're getting a job today, not tomorrow, today, because that's what you're going to be doing the rest of your life if you don't go to college. If you're not going to college and you're not working, you're not staying in my house." I said, "Let's go, Dad." and he dropped me off at one end of the shopping center until I got a job, and I came home with a job. Couldn't have been more proud. And that's what made me the man I am today. And that's what's going to make me the man of the future. I'm going to keep working hard no matter what it takes. I have the persistence and tenacity. And I believe that when you're faced with adversity, you need to face that with all of your tenacity. I'm ready to go. I'm looking to lift up other people. It goes back to, it's not just knowing the information, knowing what's going on. It's what are you going to do about it? Here's something you can do about it. Okay. We've got an election coming up. No matter what your opinions are on Donald Trump or any other candidate that's running, here's the bottom line. If you look back to the video I just showed you, if you just look back to the Klaus Schwab video, they're all aligned with the Democrat Party. There's none of these people on the Republican side of the aisle, I can assure you. And the ones that are put there on purpose by the Democrats. We understand that too. We call them different types of names, rhinos, which means Republican in name only. Okay, no matter what they are, you're either for us or you're against us. And that is from Stephen K. Bannon. And the other thing he says is break out your number 2 pencil and start writing some of this stuff down, because you got to take action. You have to have a plan. Here's one plan for you. Go Google Turning Point Action and their app. Okay, that app is unbelievable and it's free. What happens? You pull up and you say, hey, I want to make some phone calls. I want to send some text messages. That's what we need to do. Spread the word. Okay, if people don't know what's going on, tell them about it. And your job is to get 10 voters out there to vote on November 5th. And don't wait till November 5th. You can go early in New Jersey, up to 2 weeks before the election. It's the best way to vote. So easy. There's no lines, no excuses. Order yourself a mail-in ballot, okay? Republicans in general, we don't want to take mail-in ballots. We want to vote day of. Guess what? There's a lot of reasons and excuses not to. And it doesn't help when the media is showing us the numbers of how many votes the other party has that they've been banking with their mail-in ballots and ballot harvesting and chasing ballots. We need to be doing all those things legally. So what do you do to prevent election fraud? Everyone's saying, well, my vote really doesn't count anyway. Order yourself a mail-in ballot. Everyone should. And when you do go to the polling location, if they tell you that you've already voted, that's the indication that there is something very wrong. And then you contact your closest GOP headquarters. That's the grand old party, Republican headquarters. They'll know what to do. There's hotlines and things of that nature. But start making the phone calls to your neighbors, friends, family. And if you want to work out of state, it doesn't matter. We need the votes. Anyone can do it. You take this app. What you do is you pull up the 15 closest people that are in your proximity. It'll show you whether or not they had a mail-in ballot, whether they returned it. It'll show you who you need to call. It'll give you the messages to send. You need to start taking action, because if we don't take action as a cumulative group, we will not win this election. And again, I'm reiterating again, this isn't the most important election. It's not the most consequential. It's the last one if we don't win in our lifetime. And I'm just sitting here with my family some days, literally saying out loud, where are we going to go if we don't win this election? Because I will tell you, New Jersey will be an untenable place to live for people that think like me and people that think like you. If you're watching this podcast, just think about it. Look at your family. And your family one day is going to come and ask you, and I'm prepared. When this thing all started with the stuff going on in the schools, and I realized what was going on with transing kids and schools keeping secrets from parents, totally obliterating the God-given rights parents have to direct their child's upbringing, I said it to myself. I know one day my children are going to come to me and ask, Dad, what did you do when they came for us? You know what my answer is going to be? Because they know the answer. Everything I could. I brought it all and I left it all on the table, because that's what this is about. This is a fight for the way of life that we all know. You mentioned DEI. Okay. DEI. How do I define equity and equality? What's the difference? Equality is that you treat everybody the same. Very simple. Equity. Here's how I define equity. Take the worst possible outcome that you could possibly imagine anyone having, and then doing everything in your power to make sure that everyone under your control receives that horrible outcome, because that's the only way to do it. When they talk about equal outcomes, okay, everyone understands the law of averages. That's collectivism. They teach collectivist math. You know, go look at your sixth graders math book and see how they're figuring out 6 plus 4 or 10 minus 4. Oh, 10 minus 4, the average there is 40, so another 60. They do it all based on averages. They don't do 2 plus 2, okay? And if they ask you what's 2 plus 2, you know what they say after that? Now, how do you feel about that? Are you okay with that? Do you feel okay that 2 plus 2 is actually 2? Guess what? It doesn't matter how you feel. 2 + 2 has always been and always will be 2. The people that trying to change that, they're the ones you got to worry about. Who are they? They're the ones in power. They've been elected to all sorts of offices, and everyone that's elected brings a whole bunch of appointees with them too. Who knows what their moral character and moral turpitude's looking like? You don't until you find out when it's too late. It's already too late. If you've got a child in the public school system, you need to find an alternative until things are normalized and corrected. Even in November, it's going to take time to unwind what's been tightly wound against us. This is like a freight train moving at 1,000 miles per hour. It's not just going to stop on a dime and turn it around. We're going to need the collective action of all of us to make a difference. Get that turning point action on your phone. Okay. Another thing you can do when you hear about things in the news and you're not happy with what you see or hear, download an app called Bill Blaster. Bill Blaster, Bill Blaster. What does it do? It's got every federal legislator in there. Start calling your Congress people. Don't be afraid. Tell them what you feel. Okay, they were going to have a walkout in Eastern Regional High School here in Voorhees, New Jersey, over Save Palestine. I caught wind of this a little late, but I got involved hard and heavy, and I made sure that I did whatever I could do to make it stop, and it did. Okay, I called every school board member, principal, township committee member. I called the county commissioners. Okay, it ended up that I stumbled into Donald Norcross, our elected official here in Congress, New Jersey, CD1. Okay, hopefully Teddy Liddell can take him out. It's going to be tough, but if we can get the vote out and make sure everyone votes for Trump and vote down ticket, we've got a shot. I walked in his office, filled out an affidavit, and said, if one hair gets hurt on a child for this walkout to free Palestine, you're now accountable for it because I'm serving you an affidavit. Guess what? He made the call. The principal finally got off his laurels and stopped the walkout. That's what it took. It was not easy. Okay, I've got to work. I've got to make a living. I got a lot of bills to pay, 2 kids in college, the whole bit. But you got to take time out of your own life to make it better for all of us. I need your help, everybody. EricSimkin.com. Check it out. There's news sources. Where are you getting your news? Are you watching just Fox Network? I mean, Steve Bannon would say that Fox Network is TV for stupid people. It's owned by the Murdoch family. They're not even American. Okay, their sons are radical lunatics. They're total leftists. They're in on it. And look at all the money flowing, no matter what political party's in. You can't trust the media. You got to look for sources that provide facts. We like to call it the receipts. What do you say, Damon?
Well, don't get me started on the media. You know, that's one of my number
Let's hear
one.
about it. Tell America what's going on with the media.
Just look at the media. Look at how Kamala Harris right now hasn't given one press conference yet. Not one. She was asked one question that was off script, and it was not just a word salad. It was a word coleslaw. It was embarrassing. And then she walked away and they hustled her away to the plane. And that was it, because they don't want her talking. They're going to try to do the Joe Biden basement strategy because they don't want her talking off script. Because
it's not even off script. What's on script is commie. Okay.
Well, again,
you know what her father did for a living? You ever wonder what Donald Harris did?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Harris is a Marxist professor at Cambridge University, emeritus. He wrote all sorts of papers on Marxism, communism, how things are better, the class struggle, class warfare, all these things. And guess what? Kamala Harris, she's got a degree in economics. What type of economics do you think she was learning? So, of course, they don't want her talking. They don't want her spilling the beans on what they got planned for us. But look a little bit to the past. You can kind of project what's coming forward. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if you look at how she flip-flopped on all of her policies so far, and the media is fueling it, saying the border czar, and then she's not the border czar.
Of course, she's not the border czar. She's not the border.
Her saying. I mean, it conflicts so much. I mean, if you just look at it, everything that she said, I want to get rid of paper, get rid of plastic straws, have paper straws. And now she said, no, they're okay now. She wanted to ban fracking. And now she said, no, I'm for fracking.
She wanted to ban Christmas in the video.
Yeah, she wanted to ban Christmas.
But Christmas is a time of joy and celebration. Okay.
Yeah, how dare we say Merry Christmas?
She celebrated Kwanzaa, and to those who celebrate Kwanzaa, I will let you know that I don't think she was even a child when Kwanzaa was invented. When she was a little girl celebrating Kwanzaa.
It was not.
Okay,
it was not. That was straight. You know what? That's what I like about the podcast, because you can curse on it. It was straight bullshit. Kwanzaa didn't exist when she said she celebrated Kwanzaa. It's like Joe Biden talking about how a corn pop and how he rode the train with his. And
well, where is Joe Biden? Who's running things right now? Who is running things right now? Who's got the nuclear football?
Obama is running things right now. That's who's running things, because Barack Obama is the one that called Joe Biden and told him to drop out because Kamala Harris would invoke the 25th Amendment. And I think Joe Biden stuck it right back to Barack Obama by endorsing Kamala Harris. And that's why it took the Obamas a week to come out to endorse Kamala Harris, because they didn't know what to do. They were stuck. Once the sitting president, Joe Biden, endorsed Kamala Harris, they couldn't get anybody else in. And that was it. And it was over. And I think it was Biden sticking it up Obama's ass because he told him he had to go or they're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. And that's what I think.
I mean, I personally think that all that was an attempt, what they call to save democracy. But here's the problem. They're not talking about saving democracy as you and I would define it. And when I was sitting here thinking about the show and DEI and capitalism, Marxism, communism, I did a whole lot of research and I was really looking for definitions. You know, what is the difference between the way that I'm thinking these words mean and what they think they mean? Okay. And when I say me or they, okay, I'm talking about this. People that believe in families, people that have families, people that believe in the Constitution, people really that believe in a God versus people that don't. That's when I say they, I'm talking about the people that don't have that commonality that flies under the flag of the United States of America. And so I started looking up for DEI. You know, I ran for school board a few years ago. I got crushed by the left. I mean, vote wise. I mean, I crushed them with facts and truth. They don't like that. But the question that they asked me, this is actually to fill a vacancy on a school board, right? A school board member actually resigned. P.S. She resigned because I made a presentation on October 27, 2021 to the school board. She at the time voted to keep schools closed after COVID. Come to find out that she works for a single sign-on company for educational technology. What that means, she made money when schools were closed and brought up a vote to keep them closed when everything else was opening. So I went and exposed that. And turns out that they accused me of harassing her at the board meeting. So they went to the police the next day to try and silence me. They go to the police department. I get a phone call. Police call up. Mr. Simpkin, we're calling you about your school board presentation last night. I said, wow, it was that good, huh? Thank you. They said, well, we did see the video because they said that you were harassing them on the video. But when we reviewed the video, we actually found that they were harassing you, Mr. Simpkin. So we were just letting you know that we sent them home and to not harass you any further. So that's what happened there. But what did they ask me? They said, we want to know what your thoughts are on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, if you're running for school board, you're supposed to keep your political beliefs out of it. And your job as a school board member is to serve the public interest before your own 100% of the time and to ensure that the schools are well run. You have to choose curriculum that is age appropriate. Okay, none of these things the school board members are doing. But they're asking the candidates for this election process, which is determined by the existing 8 members left, to replace her. Her name was Rachel Van Aken. I hope you're doing well in Connecticut, because it turned out Rachel Van Aken, after all this thing, she packed it up and left and went to Connecticut for whatever reason. No, they didn't pick me to go on there. They picked the school board president. Her name's Monica Watson. They picked her little life coach buddy, Julie Ketover.
How's that working
out? How's it working out? Let's see. Scores are in the tank. They did a DEI hire on a school superintendent. She came from another district, which they tried to hire her previously when they hired another guy. This poor guy they fired because he didn't want kids wearing masks. He didn't want kids to stay home from school. So they fired him basically. They put him on administrative leave and hired the DEI hire from another district. So no, it's not going well. Okay, they keep secrets from parents. Policy 5756 in New Jersey, that's adopted by most school districts, says that if a child wants to change their gender or their gender identity or pronouns or name that's different than what's on their school registration, that the school does not have to tell the parents this is going on. I could tell you right now, if my kids were going to school thinking or saying that they were something other than the name that I call them for whichever reason, and the school doesn't tell me and something happens to my kid before it and they're giving them any kind of gender affirming care, including changing their pronouns and starting a separate file, okay, there's going to be a problem with Eric Simpkin coming in, okay? Fortunately, there wasn't. My kids were juniors in high school when all this stuff was coming down, but all this stuff happened 2020. It was festering and building since 1987. Where did DEI really start? How did it get to our schools? Where are we going with this? Is it okay, Damon, if I share a little info about that in the history?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Have at it.
Okay.
Run it.
All right. So
You've been running it good pretty soon.
California, Berkeley, right? Seems to be a hotbed of radicalism, doesn't it? I mean, when you look at the pro-Hamas protests or anti-Israel, whichever you want to call it commie, I call it Islamist. Okay, Islamist, I would define that as people that want to come to this country and not live by the rule of law, which is the Judeo-Christian values of America, which most of which came from the book of Deuteronomy, from the 5 books of Moses. So when we say Judeo-Christian, that's what we mean. So let's take a look at CRT, critical race theory. No, critical race theory is not being taught in our schools. Of course,
it was
not.
derived from critical theory.
Right, critical theory.
Is,
okay, well, here we go. Here's what was going on in the 80s, okay, at Cal Berkeley. First, you had a woman named Kimberly Crenshaw, Harvard Law graduate, UCLA law staff, and totally anti-discrimination and for social justice. She was the first original social justice warrior. She created CRT, which formed BLM. You know, we were already past Weather Underground, Barack Obama, and his affiliation with that. At the same time in the 80s, we're talking about 1984 till about 1990, guy comes in from the Middle East. His name is Hatem Barzan. He had one goal. His goal was to destroy Israel. He also went to Berkeley, San Francisco State. Okay. There's other people that went to Berkeley and San Francisco State, like Kamala Harris, coincidentally. He came from the West Bank. He was the co-founder with another gem, and his name was Awad, for CARE, the Council of Islamic American Relations. Okay, so now we've got CRT founding, BLM, by extension, Antifa, and other sorts of organizations that have come together. United Democrat Socialists, AOC, and Squad, and everything they're associated with. And they started that council literally to destroy America. I mean, it's insane. And then third, you had another gem, Judith Butler, happens to be Jewish. She's attending Berkeley. She's on the staff. She really served them well because she's a Jew that hates Israel, unfortunately. And that's where JVP started with SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine. That was started by Judith Butler, a Jew. How disgusting and embarrassing, more than embarrassing as an American Jew that I am. And then that all commingled with Linda Sarsour, Pink Taco Lady, the Women's March in 2017. She is a radical Islamist. She's a political activist. She has on her speed dial probably 1 million militant people that are going to show up at places. And that's what happened with the Women's March. All 4 of these people were in the same place at the same time at Berkeley. And that's where it all started with DEI, what's it called? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Celebrate diversity. Celebrate diversity. In high school, I told you about, they're celebrating diversity by having every flag that every student from a country ever came from. It's not the United Nations. And P.S., the United Nations, it's the United Nations against America, not for it. That I can promise you. But this is where DEI came from. And they all realized that the easiest and best way to approach this is to break into our education system. And I am very sympathetic. I'm very, very interested in public education. Like I said, both my parents were public educators. They both realize that what's going on now is not right. And I do too, as a prodigy of 2 public educators, listening to what was going on my whole life growing up as a kid. It's a disaster. DEI in education is the most divisive. It's scary. It's violent. I mean, you can't go. I mean, I wouldn't send my kid to a public school. I will not send my future grandchildren to a public school. I am going to make the conscious decision to homeschool them. And that is another action item. How are you going to rearrange your life to make sure that your children receive a proper classical education that's going to allow them to be productive members of society? Because if your kid's just going to school and you're just letting it go and you're not giving them any kind of private secondary type of education and something else, they're going to get out and be the same as everybody else, right, Damon? I mean, you got kids in school. Aren't you worried about it?
I'm very worried about it. And it's kind of funny. The Democrats are against school choice. to choose what school you want to go to. They're against charter schools because that everything's run by the teachers unions and public schools, and they want to promote this stuff. And again, that's a problem. But yet they're for women's right to choose. So that's fine.
Except vaccines. You don't have a choice to choose if you take a vaccine. Right?
No,
it's my body, my choice, unless it's something that they're into.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, my body, my choice. So, but they're in. They want abortion up to birth. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole abortion thing because it's a long history, and I really don't feel like doing it right now.
I'll get into it with you real quick. It's left to the states. It's not a federal decision.
Exactly.
So please,
right.
America, make sure your friends don't use that as a single issue vote and not vote the other side. You got to vote Republican.
That is a good point. That is a good point because everyone thinks that Trump wants to put a federal ban on it. He does not. He talked about a 15-week ban, which is the general consensus.
He talked about it, but it's to the states because Roe versus Wade would have given them that authority to make that decision. Now he no longer has it with the Supreme Court.
He was asked the question of if it went into federal hands, what he would go with. He said, well, the general consensus of the country was 15 weeks. So if it came down to that, then I would go with the general consensus of the country.
I've talked to some very liberal women, and I say 15 weeks, and they said that's too long. So I think it's just a misconception that people have when it's like you're not. First of all, how are you pro-abortion? Why would anyone be pro-abortion? It doesn't make sense. Why are you pro-killing babies? I'm not pro it. I mean, maybe if you have to make a life decision, I mean, in my family, I wouldn't decide it, but the right to choose. I mean, all right, so within some sort of latitude, okay, but you don't have to be advocating for killing more babies. Planned Parenthood shouldn't be in schools.
But here's my point, though. I'm not telling anybody how to live their life. I'm not going to point my finger in your face and say you can't get an abortion. Now, am I against abortion? Am I pro-life? Sure. And am I against abortion up until the moment of birth? Absolutely.
Sure thing.
I mean, no question about it. But when it comes down to, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. So don't tell me how to live mine. Don't tell me how to raise my children. Don't say that I don't have school choice, to send my kids to a charter school or send them to a different district because I live in one that's bad.
The problem is you don't anymore. Every district's the same. Look at the scores in high schools in South Jersey, for example. They're all the same.
I live in West Deptford, and they used to be great. And now it's
they all used to be greater. Okay. Yeah. But really what it is that a school charter and how schools are organized and how they're designed to function is that a local district has an obligation to provide the best public education it can afford to provide based on the tax revenue of that town. That no longer happens. Your money doesn't go right to your school district in your town. It goes to Trenton if you live in New Jersey. And they're already dividing it up on people that make less money. So your equity is already built in. Educational equity. What is it? It's take from people that have more, give it to people that have less. Don't find ways to stimulate growth. Don't find ways to give the people that have less, give them more. Only by taking from those who have excelled. That's why they don't like Donald Trump, okay? Because he's a capitalist, a highly successful capitalist. He's conquered the media. No one gets more media than Donald Trump. They hate that. They hate him, and they hate you for liking that concept. So it's not like we can all sit around and sing Kumbaya around a campfire anymore, Damon. It ain't going to happen. We got to figure this out. How are we going to coexist?
Well, it's one thing that Trump said, and he said they're after you. I'm just in their way.
Absolutely. They're not coming for you. They're not coming for me. They're coming for you. And I'm just standing in your way is one of the most truthful things I've heard.
Absolutely. It is the truth.
So my answer there is if they want him out so bad and they're coming after him, why? And that should be and is the exact reason why people need him to be the president of the United States for the same reason why they don't want him to be. It's the same reason we need to want him to be.
And we need it. If Harris gets in, I mean, I imagine 4 years of that. Imagine 8 years of it if that happens. I don't know what's going to happen because I'm telling you right now, Eric, I am pissed off. I don't get mad that easily. I really don't.
I do. So.
I see that. But I'm really fucking pissed off. And that, again, thank you for the podcast because I can curse on this, not on my radio show, 92.1. I'm going to use my construction language here. So sorry if anybody's offended by it, but if you're offended, I'm offended that you're offended. So anyway, I'm really pissed off about it because I go to work every single day. I bust my ass. I build commercial buildings. Eric goes to work every single day in his line of work. We make average money, good enough money to live. But when we get taxed over and over again, and everyone else gets stuff for free, and we got all the illegals pouring over, and then the New Jersey taxes are so high, and our school systems are starting to teach this bullshit, then when is enough is enough? Like, that's why we have to get out to vote. Everyone, you have to tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, and I bust balls with my job all the time. There's one guy that says he's voting for Kamala. He's the only one in my job, and I'm a union carpenter, and typically unions would always go Democrat, but they're not the rank and file men and women. They're voting Republican. But I talk to them all the time to get out there and vote because it's important. And the one guy that says he's voting for Kamala Harris, I mean, we're still friends, and that's a good thing that we can actually have the discussion, and we break each other's balls all the time. But I'm trying to convince them. But you need to get out there and convince your family, your friends, and just look at the information that we're putting out there and what's going on with this country. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to get it out there to everyone so everyone can listen and say, you know what? I want to look that up. And then you'll see it for yourself. And then you'll realize where it's going. I mean, we're $35 trillion in debt. $35 trillion debt. It is not feasible to be that way. You cannot have a wide open border and just have everyone come in. You cannot have your kids indoctrinated in these schools. This is the fall of a nation. We are in dire straits right now. And I hate to be all doom and gloom, but it's getting to the point where I have to be, to where I have to tell everybody about it. And hopefully they take the time to actually think about it and look it up themselves. Because I don't listen just when anyone says to me. You know, I'll take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But I'll look it up myself. I'll find out my own information. I do my own research. And when you look into it and you look into our federal budget and the amount that we're paying on interest, we're paying $1.2 trillion a year just on interest. And it actually, it's 60% of our federal income tax. 60% of what we pay to the government for federal income tax goes towards interest.
Well, let me tell you about interest. Okay.
Anyone have a credit card?
I have a little bit of a background in banking. I understand how interest works. Okay. And let me explain it like this. Okay. That money was borrowed at a much lesser rate than it was today. And that debt has to be refinanced over periods of time, usually a year, 12 months, if it's a 12-month bill, treasury bills, and all that stuff. And when those bills, when those debts are refinanced, we get crushed, and they need even more of our money. So they start changing monetary policy to collect more of our tax revenue. Here's the thing, Damon. I really want to get back to education because it's a soft spot for me, and it's a big deal. Okay, you got to look at going back to this 1963 goals of communism at the time. I mean, number 24 was eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. So what these people do, okay, communists, Marxists, Democrats, socialists, whatever you want to call them, what they do is they use the Constitution, and they don't use it as a tool. They use it as a weapon. Okay, it's just like a knife, you know. A knife can be a tool and it could be a weapon. A knife that's in the hands of a surgeon can save a life. A knife in the hands of a criminal can take a life. It's the same thing. They're using freedom of speech against us. It's pathetic. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV, but it's in your kid's library. It's in your kid's everyday learning cycle, obscenity. I mean, I could start naming the books, but they're really disgusting. I've read some of the books. I wouldn't read them to an adult. I can't believe that they're in schools. It's pathetic. Present homosexuality, degradacy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. These are natural healthcare issues, and healthcare is a big part of the political agenda against us. Infiltrate the churches, replace revealed religion with social religion, discredit the Bible, and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. What does that mean, folks? It means give up your godly religion and start praying and start being subservient and bend your knee like those Congress people did. Bend your knee to the state because the state will provide you everything. God doesn't do anything for you. It's the state that provides. It's the state that you go to work for. It's the state that's going to give you everything you need or want. Here's the problem. It's very little that the state can possibly give to all of us. I mean, get ready for it, because if the state's delivering food, what do you think you're going to get? I have a prediction. You're going to get a box of soybean related food to eat and a box of vaccines. And if you don't take both of them, you're dead. That's where we're going right now. It may not be tomorrow, but if we lose this election, it will be. Okay, that's what I'm here to tell you.
Well, I got something for you too. I kind of disagree with what you said about how they use the First Amendment against us.
Okay,
Because I think it's selective. They select when they can use the First Amendment against us.
well, absolutely,
Because
they select it, but
and I just looked up the definition of selective, and it says right here, particular, demanding, discriminating, critical. Any of those words?
they all sound familiar. I mean, at the same time, you know, you're looking up selective. I mean, look up moderate, okay? Because
Yeah.
guess what? I got a lot of Republican friends that can't back Trump
Yeah.
because he's the orange man, because of the mean tweets. I mean, I'll take a mean tweet right now, wouldn't you, folks?
I'll take it
I
any
mean,
day.
look up moderate. Moderate.
I'll take it
based-
twice on Sundays
moderate,
too.
Moderate means weak. Moderate means you're willing to accept the average or below. We don't need moderate candidates. Moderates are losers. Okay, you set out to lose, and you set out and fail, and set out to promote and to take posture against the
Moderate
people.
is DEI. It's equity.
That's right. Moderate is a law of averages. Are we
Exactly.
average? You
We're
want to
not.
be average? Guess what? In the law of averages, there's a lot of people that are below average, very few that are above. That's what keeps it average. A C grade. Look at the California grading system for public education right now. I think like a 64 is a B. A 64 out of 100 is a B. I mean, that's almost
a 64.
it's something like that.
my
Listen,
God.
you watch baseball, you follow baseball, 333 is a stellar number. It's a third.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an F, and that's stellar in baseball. So look at it from an educational perspective. Okay, 64 is going to be a B. You're B rated, but they don't even want you to have a B rating. Everyone's an A. Everyone deserves a participation award. Everyone gets the 11th grade trophies, right? 11th place.
That's what takes away ambition. It takes away it doesn't give you and the drive to make something, to be better in life. And if you just get handed stuff, hey, I could be the best I can be just like somebody else by not doing a damn thing, then why even work hard? Like when I go to
There's
work,
no
when
need to work
like,
if the state's giving you everything, right?
yeah, I mean, Eric goes to work every day, works his ass off. I go to work every day, I work my ass off. So if I was getting everything for free, what would be why would I want to work hard? Why would I would look at somebody next to me and say, well, he's not working. I'm not going to do the same thing. I still have the same outcome. So why would I even work hard?
Because we're
And then
already knowingly working harder to support people that don't.
Yeah.
As it is, we already accept that. It's like a social contract, which, by the way, is a French Revolution type of thing, social contract. But we all kind of agree to it.
But that halts progress. You get no progress out of that.
Well,
You're
you change it,
stagnant.
you move the goalposts. You say you're not giving enough to us, so we need more tax revenue out of your check. I mean, 42% is a lot of money. Okay, I don't care how much you make. If you're giving that much of it away to the government, it's a lot of money. Listen, I'm okay with it. That's the way it is. Taxes exist. I did not sign up to bring in 10, 12, 15 million more people into this country with a wide open border to pay for all their needs. And listen, I believe that if you let somebody in, you kind of got to give them those things. What are you going to do? Let them die?
Well,
You can't. You
and
just
that's the
can't let
point-
them in.
and
And
that
send
is-
them back. DEI, deport every illegal.
And that is the point of voting. That is the whole point of voting, because the government works for us. You know, just like I told my union delegates before, the reason why they have a job is I go to work every day and I pay my union dues. The reason why the government has a job is because we go to work every day and we pay our taxes. We run this country. They work for us. And we have to remember that. And the only way we can remind them of that is to get out and vote. That's the most important thing. Tell your, like I said, friends, family, neighbors, get out and vote for the right candidate. Vote for Donald J. Trump, because Kamala Harris will destroy this country. And even if we had better candidates, that's what we have. If you don't like Trump because you don't like the man, but his policies are better. Now, I can get why people might not like the man as Trump. But I miss my mean tweets because I miss filling my.
You miss truth and reality.
Yeah, and I miss a $200 a week food shopping bills instead of $350 a week food shopping bills. I miss my lower gas prices. I miss all that stuff. So it doesn't matter about the personality, and that's the most important thing. And that's where everyone even some Republicans, they're saying they're not going to vote for Trump because they can't stand him. But are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Ronald Reagan said it a long time ago. Are you better off now? I know I'm not. I mean,
Ronald Reagan also knew how to deal with protesters, by the way.
Oh, yes, he did.
He knew really well because there's a lot going on back then. I mean, I remember seeing signs when I was a kid, actually, and they used to say, and they were chanting it, this was counter protesters. Due to Iran, what we did to Japan, I would say it's still relevant today. Let me tell you this, Damon, okay? Yes, we need the votes. We need people to unify on the messaging to promote and prop up Trump, because when you see negative things about Donald Trump in the social media, it may cause somebody not to vote for Harris. I mean, there are people that are going to vote for her, but they're not going to sway someone that's a Republican to vote for Harris at this point. They're just not going to vote. Okay, so that's still a -1. In a vote swing, when you're able to take a vote from one candidate and give to another, that's a 2-point move from -1 to 0 and from 0 to +1. If you take a vote from Harris and bring it to Trump, it's a +2. Okay. But if you take a vote from Trump and they just don't vote, it doesn't mean it doesn't matter. That's a -1. Okay. Now, -2 would be voting for Harris. God forbid. I don't know how you could do it. Here's what I'm asking you to do is not just to vote. That should be the last thing that you do. From now until November, what you need to do is find ways to engage with other people. Yes, you're going to have to talk to some people. You're going to have to get off your phone, get off your social media, make a phone call, wear a MAGA shirt, wear a red cap that says "Make America Great Again." And when someone comes up to you and said, "I like your hat," you say to them, "Are you registered to vote at your current address as a Republican?" "No, I'm not." Hand them your phone, send them the app, get them to sign up and register to vote. That's now how we bank votes. Okay. Make a statement, wear a shirt, wear a hat. And again, when they ask you, "Hey, I like your shirt," or "What do you think about this?" "Hey, are you registered to vote at your local address?" Take out your cell phone, pull up the app for Turning Point or for your state, whichever. You can find New Jersey's information to be able to do that on www.ericsimkin.com, ERICSIMKIN.com. Not for self-promotion. I don't care about a website. Never thought I'd have one. I wrote it myself. I put together this podcast. I never thought I'd be doing this. I'm doing this because my personal goal is to make sure the 10,000 people that weren't going to vote for Trump by November. 10,000. Can you pick up 10 for me, everyone that's watching? Please pick up 10 votes for us.
And let's talk about registered gun owners, too.
Let's talk about that, Damon. We were talking about that last night. Yeah. Why is there 10 million gun owners that aren't registered to vote? What are we going to do to get them? I actually talked last night after we talked. I saw that Scott Pressler, who's an associate of mine.
Yeah.
He is out at gun shows getting people to register to vote. What can we do?
Well, do what I did. When I was running for Congress, I made up signs with QR scanners, and this is exactly what it said next to the QR scanner. So I went to the owners of the gun stores. And I said, "Hey, can I put this sign here?" And said, "Scan this to register to vote or to change your party." It literally takes 5 minutes. And it took you right to nj.gov. And then you just have to put in your name, your address, your license number, social security number, Republican, boom. Whether you're registered to vote or not, or wanted to switch your party, it's that fast. So that's what I was doing when I was running. And I think it works. So if we can get the message out there to everybody do something similar to that, then I think that we get registered gun owners vote. That's 10 million votes. That's 10 million people who are most likely Republican, if they're gun owners.
Well, they like freedom to be able to own a gun under the Second Amendment. Okay. If you haven't read it, it gives you the right to keep and bear arms. Okay. It doesn't just mean that you can own them. It means you can carry them too openly. In New Jersey, fortunately, they did just pass a law where if you're a resident and you pass the qualifications, you can then get a license to carry a firearm that is not out in the open. It's concealed. It's called a concealed carry permit.
I just applied for mine.
Oh, good. You got to get a lot of training, though. I have mine too, but I don't carry because I'm not properly prepared. It's a lot of responsibility, exactly. And I promote proper and safe gun ownership. Knowledge is information and power. So I would like to just sum it up here a little bit. Okay. We've got some stuff going on with DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. The commies are here. They've been here. They've infiltrated all of our institutions, from our public institutions, private institutions, jobs, unions, you name it. I'm going to get to our next show We're going to do a whole thing on the NJEA, the NEA, that's New Jersey Education Association. You want to talk about a bunch of communists? I'm going to tell you something. Their leader in New Jersey is Sean Spiller. We got something we got to watch with him because they're propping him up to run for governor in 2025. We cannot have that happen. Okay. I actually call him Little Hakeem Jeffries is my nickname for him. Sean Spiller. He's the president of the NJEA. That's who the Democrats are propping up to run for
Steve
for
Sweeney.
the governor. Steve Sweeney, if he goes up against Sean Spiller, Sean Spiller's going to win. Steve Sweeney will be a non-issue. That's my prediction in New Jersey politics for the governorship next year. That's a whole nother battle. We've got three things going on right now. We got to elect school board members in November from all your local towns. Get on your Facebook pages, find out who the good candidates are that are going to promote parental rights. If you're not sure where to go, check out another little group that I'm affiliated with and started a few years back called New Jersey Project. Check out Chaos and Control, the Substack with Nick Stouffer, a good friend of mine. She knows everything that's going on in education. She's got a well-knit web of parents' rights and conservative school board candidates and members across the state. You're really going to have to start deciding where you live by who has good school board members at some point. But I need you to also take action on that Turning Point action. Download the app. Download the app for contacting your legislators on a federal level. Bill Blaster. Just take an action. Do something today. It's Sunday while you're sitting there, spending the rest of the time, hopefully, God willing, with your family and enjoying life. Take yourself 10, 15 minutes, go get these things and get after it. If we don't start getting after it, we are not going to have a country. We'll never have another election. Okay. I need everyone to become a political badass. Go out and do things that you may not be comfortable with doing and get better at it. Damon, I think we're going to end the show with a video of a song that I saw. It's called Revelation. It's got some good words and powerful, but go ahead.
Before you put that on,
Go ahead.
I just want to say this. We mentioned Ronald Reagan. Now I have this speech on my wall in what used to be my man cave, but now the kids kind of took it over. But
that's what it's about, Damon.
Yeah, that's right. I'm proud that they did. That's fine.
I'm happy for you.
But
too.
it's on my wall, and it's just a quote from Ronald Reagan's speech. There's a risk in any course we follow than this, but every lesson in history, and every lesson in history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement, and this is the specter of our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement, and it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight and surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we'll have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And then what? And someday, when the time comes to deliver the ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time we'll be weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. Sorry. I just want to say thank you to Patriots Prayer Network as well. If anyone watched the Trump rally yesterday, was spoken about twice, and that's what we're streaming off of right now. And go to erickson.com and also all of our social media outlets as well.
And let me just share with you my favorite Ronald Reagan quote, and that is, if you cannot show them the light, make them feel the heat. Let's get it on.
Peace through strength.
Dancing in the flames, the people cursed his name, bowed at the altar of the father of lies. But there's a number to their days and all their evil ways. The Lord's gonna turn away from all their cries. Oh, revelation, I can feel it coming like a dark train running. Oh, get ready, 'cause the King is coming. The King is coming back again. Brimstone upon their heads, millstones around their necks. They'll feel the shaking when the trumpet sounds. And no matter where they hide, there'll be nowhere to run when Jesus puts his mighty foot on the ground. Oh, revelation, I can feel it gnash, and he'll set fire to the evil ones and all the wickedness they've done. There'll be no time to turn around as the stars begin to hit the ground and the mountains fall and the veil is torn with the sound of that seventh horn. Oh, revelation, I can feel it coming like a dark train running. Before his days were done, the king is coming, and it won't be long.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. The problem with that, not everybody's starting out from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we could get the same amount, but you're still gonna be that far back behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place.
We've seen huge electoral victories and labor organizing from coast to coast, including major union wins in Starbucks stores from Buffalo to Seattle. And DSA chapters and members are returning to face-to-face meetings, rallies, and canvasses. As working class people, we're fed up. As socialists, we know the answer is class struggle. Politics begins with organizing and mass movements. There are no shortcuts to building power.
Good afternoon, and my name is Eric Simkin. I'm a dad. I'm just a dad. I've lived in New Jersey for 51 years. And I'm here because the social contract that exists between New Jersey residents and the public education system has been breached by the state of New Jersey. Whole child education, DEI, and SEL, in my opinion, they are all abject failures. And I say this to my fellow parents and residents. If you don't start to listen, you need to pull your kids. And we do not co-parent with the government.
Everybody, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Simkin. I am running for the Board of Education in Voorhees County, the slate named Voorhees Children First. And it's exactly that. We are putting our children first. From the NJEA, they are pushing a radical educational agenda that attacks our families. If you had public education in the last 2 years, you need to look. It's a really ridiculously unsafe situation for families and children. And I ask that everyone repeats this line when you're talking to somebody about education, and that is, we do not co-parent with the government or the NJEA. And thank you very much.
Last night night I heard this politician talking about his brand new mission. Liked his plans, but they came undone when it got around to God and